Hey, hi everyone. In this video, we're going to discuss about how to handle tables in Selenium. So mostly while handling tables in Selenium or in any tool, uh, the main important concept or the main trick here is to write dynamic XPath. If you're good, if you're good with writing XPaths, or if you're comfortable with creating a dynamic XPath, then 80% of the job is done. Handling tables is a little bit easy. So today let us discuss about how to handle tables. This is my application, letcode.in/tables. Here let us look into these three scenarios in this video. Here the first scenario is to add all the prices and check if total is correct. So here we have to check all these prices and then we have to compare the price with 858. It should be equal to 858. That is the first scenario. On the second scenario, we have to mark Raj as present. So here is Raj, and we have to mark him as present. So it's not just Raj. If let's say if tomorrow's business case is to present, is to mark man as present, then we have to mark him as present. Or if after tomorrow, if your table might increase, the table size might not be 3, or it might be 10 or 20 or 30, and then depending upon the name, we have to mark the respective guy as present. And let us see how to handle it. And finally, let us see how to check the sorting on a table. Okay, here we have desserts, calories, fat, all these things are column headers. Now, right now, the column data under dessert heading is frozen yogurt, ice cream, eclair, so on. Now, when I click on header, it is gonna sort. So first, it is gonna sort in ascending order, and when I click on the header again, now it's gonna sort in a descending order. And then when I click on the header again, now it's going to be normal. Now how to check whether sorting is working or not? So let us look all these scenarios one by one. Okay, now here, okay, let's get back to the code once. Let us get back to the code first. Here is my code. Here is a package called code test. Under this package, let me create a class, and I will be naming it table test or table test. Yeah, simple. Let me name it simple table test. So under this class, let us write our test. So let me write my first test here. So let me name it table test 1. Okay, so let us import the annotation. And here I'm gonna write. Let's do one thing. Here, let us create a separate class called, or suppose let us create a separate package and let me name it base. So inside this base, I'm gonna create something called as base class, or else base page, anything, or let us say base test. So here inside this base test, let us write code for creating the driver and then closing the driver. So at the rate before test, or at the rate before method. So for now, I'm gonna keep it as at the rate before test. Here, let us say setup is my first method to set up the, and then the tier down is to quit the browser. Since we have to use it outside the package as well, so I'm going to name it public. So public void setup and tier down. So tier down should be at the rate after test. Now here, let me create a global variable for WebDriver, and let me name the variable as driver. Now inside this setup, our first and foremost step is to set up the driver. So let me set up the Chrome driver using WebDriver Manager, and then have to create a Chrome driver object. So here is my Chrome driver object. and then using driver, I'm gonna maximize the page. Yes. So this is my boilerplate code, and then finally let me quit the driver. Yes. So quitting is done, and then setting up the driver is also done. Now let us get back to our test. So here is my simple table test. Okay. So before, yeah. So here is my simple table test. Here let me say at the rate before, or else the first. What is the first step? We have to navigate, right? So we have to navigate um, to a respective URL. Let's use okay. What should I do? So to access base test methods inside our test, I have to extend. I have to extend the base test. Now when I extend the base test, I can access all the methods that are present here. But here I should make WebDriver as protected. Unless if WebDriver is not protected, I cannot access WebDriver object outside the package. So right now base test is present inside base package. So if it is not protected, if it is, let's say it is default, then the scope of this object is within the package. That's the reason I am mentioning it as protected. Then we can access this driver outside the package within the inheritance hierarchy. Okay. If something is protected, we can access that variable or that anything, a variable or a method inside the package and outside the package within the inheritance hierarchy. Since my simple table test is present inside different package, but simple table test is extending the base test, so it is within the inheritance hierarchy. So now I can access the WebDriver object. So yes, I got driver here. My first and foremost step is to navigate to the respective URL here. And navigate to a URL. This is my URL. Copy here and let us paste it. Okay. And then after navigating, we have to collect all the prices. Okay. So I have to write an Xpath. Let us inspect. I have to write an Xpath that can capture all the prices. Okay. Here, if you observe, okay. So the whole thing is present under a table. We have T head and then we have T body. And if you observe, total is present under T food. So I should navigate inside T body. Under T body, there are TRs. Under TR, we have two TDs. And in second TD, we have our price. Now, how to navigate to TD? Okay, so directly I can navigate. First, I should navigate to table. So here is my table, which is having ID as shopping. Okay, so I can write CSS selector here. So let me write a CSS selector ID. For ID, we should use a hashtag. So hashtag shopping will take me to the table level. So it gives me the table element. From table, we have to navigate to the body. So to the body, under T body, I should navigate to TD. So there are 8 TDs. Out of these 8 TDs, I have to go to TD2. How to say to TD? How to go to TD2? I should use TD of nth child. So how to use nth child of 2. So this is how I can specify. So if I say just TD, it's gonna point out all the TDs that are present under the T body, but we want in specific the second TD. So that is the reason I am saying nth child, and then it means that it should go to the second TD of under each node. So there are 2 TDs present under TR. Now it will go to the second TD. Now this XPath gives me all the prices. Okay. Now let us copy this XPath. Let's get back to our code. So now I should ask the driver to find all the elements. Now since I wrote CSS selector, I have to select CSS selector as an option. And then pass the CSS selector here. Now he is gonna give me list of web elements. So let us resolve it. So list of web elements, and let us name this as prices. Then let us import this list. Okay, now it's gonna give me price elements. It makes sense. Okay, price elements. It's gonna give me list of elements. Now I have to extract text out of this. Now let me write a loop here. Let me write a loop, enhanced for loop. Inside this for loop, we have to pass price element. Each time I'm gonna get a web element, and let me name it yearly. Now out of this element, I have to extract the price element dot. I should say get text dot trim. I am trimming it if there are any trailing, or if there are any trailing spaces or spaces at the starting, it's gonna trim them. So after trimming them, it's gonna give me the price in a string format. So I have to convert it into integer. So integer dot, we have something called as parseInt. Now parseInt is gonna convert number which is in string format to integer. So this is how I can convert a string to integer. Okay, now let us take a variable here. I'll name it as total. And initially, let us take total as initially the total variable with 0, and then once I get the price from this element, I should add on to this total. Okay, so total is equal to total plus the price. This is how it's gonna add up all the total, and it's gonna store in the variable called total. Now I have my final total, and then I should compare the total with the final total that is present, that is coming from the web page. So let me name this total as expected total. Sorry, this should be, yeah. So let me name it as total, and let me get the total from the page. So let us inspect it. If you observe, it is directly present under TD, but it is present under tfood. So tfood. So under tfood, there is TD, right? TD. Let me inspect it again. Okay. So under TD, there is something called as bold. So or else directly I can say, directly I can go to bold. Yeah. So this is my CSS selector. Copy this, and let us ask the driver again. Driver dot find element y dot CSS selector, and pass the CSS selector here. Now this is gonna give me the element. So I'm gonna extract text and I'm gonna trim it. So finally we have to, this is gonna be the string type. So but we want integer type, right? So again I wanna convert it into integer dot parseInt. So it's gonna convert the string type of number into integer type of number. Now finally let us store it in a variable, and I will be naming it as actual total. Obviously it should be integer. Okay. Now I have my expected total, and then I have my actual total. So finally we have to assert them. Assert dot. So here we are comparing two things. Assert equals. First I have to pass the actual and then the expected total. Okay. If the total is not equal, then if you throw this error message saying that total is not as expected, but I mean let us expected. Okay. So this is a test number 1. Let us run this and let us check whether it's working fine or not. So let us run this test. Okay. Yeah, so it passed. So my test is working fine. So the logic what we have written is absolutely working fine. So here the whole point of this exercise is to write a locator which can identify all the prices. Okay. We cannot write Xpath for each individual price. So we have to write only one Xpath that could find all the prices. Let's say today let's assume that you're writing 4 XPaths for 4 prices. Let's assume that tomorrow we have 400 elements here. Then we cannot write 400 XPaths. So we should write in one XPath that can identify all the prices. So that is the whole point of this exercise. Now let's get back to the second scenario where here I have to mark Raj as present. Okay. So in the code, let me create a test. Okay. New test, and let me name it table test 2. So inside this table test, what's the first thing? Of course, our first thing is to navigate to this page. Let me copy and let me paste it here. And so after navigating, yes, now we have to start our strategy. Now I have to identify, I have to write a dynamic XPath. I have to write a dynamic XPath. So first let me identify Raj. Now let me write an XPath for Raj. So how to find Raj? So directly I can say TD, which contains this text. Okay, because Raj is present under TD. TD text should be equal to Raj. Okay. This is how I can identify the Raj element. Or else for this, so in this case, it's not just the Raj. In place of Raj, if you replace with man, it's gonna select that particular element. But for time being, let me replace it with Raj. Now from Raj, I have to navigate to the checkbox. So how to navigate to the checkbox? It is present under the third TD. Okay, it is present under the, I mean like under TR, there are 4 TDs. Raj is present under second TD. Now these 4 TDs are siblings. If you observe, all these 4 TDs are siblings. Now Raj is present under second TD, and my checkbox is present under the I mean like the fourth TD. Okay, now I have to traverse to this TD. Either I can use sibling, or I can traverse back to TR and then come to TD, or directly to input. So I'm gonna first traverse to TR to its parent, and from TR I'm gonna come to input. So how to traverse one step back? I can use dot dot, or I can say parent, and then double colon, and then give the parent tag name, which is TR. Okay, now I am at parent level. From parent level, I have to traverse to input. Okay, so here input is not directly present, it's not a child, so I should specify double forward slash, which is nothing but descendants. It is going to check in the descendants. Now this is how I can write a XPath. Okay, now instead of Raj, let me replace with Ayan. It's going to work for Ayan as well. Then it's not for just for the last name, because we are traversing back to the parent. That's the reason we can give anything. We can give first name or last name. Even email address also works. So if you replace Raj with any name, it's gonna select that respective checkbox. Okay, so in place of Raj, let me give double dollar. Okay, so in the program, I'm gonna replace this double dollar with the Raj. So let me copy this XPath. Okay, so here, what should I do? The first thing is I should ask the driver to find the element, and then by dot. Okay, first let me write this XPath here. I'm gonna name this path as present checkbox XPath. So now this is my dynamic XPath. Here I am gonna replace this double dollar with the respective name. Okay, so here you have to find the element using XPath, right? So by dot XPath. Inside this XPath, I have to pass this XPath, but this is not the actual XPath. Here I have to replace. Sorry, here I have to replace the double dollar with Raj. Okay. Finally, it will find the element. I will have to click on it. I have to click on it. Now it's gonna click the respective checkbox. Now how to check whether the checkbox is clicked or not? I can use assert. I can use assert dot assert true, and here I'm gonna check whether the checkbox is checked or not. And again I have to ask the driver dot find element. Or let us do one thing here. Instead of clicking directly here, let me find this element. Let me find this element as checkbox. Of course, it's gonna be a element. Now let us click on it. Checkbox dot click. Now here, instead of finding the element again, I should check whether checkbox is selected or not. So directly checkbox dot is, we have three methods here. And now three boolean methods here. We have to go with is selected. It's gonna give me whether the checkbox is selected or not. Of course, after clicking, it should be selected, right? Then it should give me true, and it should pass the assertion. If it is false, let's say checkbox is not selected. So this is the message that I'm gonna get. So this is my test two. Here instead of Raj, you can pass any name. It's not just Raj. Okay, so yeah, this is how it's gonna work here. Now let us run this code. Should okay. Okay, so it was very quick actually. So after clicking it, let us sleep for 2 seconds, or let us do one thing. Let us take a screenshot. Let us take a screenshot after clicking this. So how to take a screenshot? So I have to cast the driver object to take screenshot interface. So take screenshot. Have to cast it to take screenshot, and then finally, now this is no more a driver object. Now it is a screenshot object. Now on this screenshot, there is a method called get screenshot as, and inside that we have to specify the output type. And for time being, let us specify file type. And now this is gonna give us file. I'll name it screenshot. Right. Now we have to store this screenshot in some folder within our project. So here I'm gonna create a directory, and I will name it screenshots. Okay. So let us store the screenshot inside our screenshot directory. So how to do that? Uh, there's something called as file util dot copy file. So we have to give source file. Source file is our screenshot file, and we have to store it in a destination. So I'm gonna create a new file, and here I'm gonna pass the file path. So dot forward slash dot is nothing but it is our root folder. Our root folder is our selenium scenarios, nothing but our project. Under this project, we're gonna store the screenshots under screenshots package. Sorry, screenshots folder. So screenshot slash, and then we have to specify the screenshot name. So let me name the screenshot as checkbox dot png. It's a screenshot name. Okay, so here copy file is throwing us an exception, which is checked exception. So let us handle it. Let us use try catch to handle it. Right. Okay, so after clicking it, it's gonna take the screenshot, and then it is gonna verify. Now let us run the test case again. Now it should take the screenshot. So after taking screenshot, when we check the screenshot, the checkbox should be selected. Yes, okay, it did check the checkbox. Now, yeah, under screenshots, if you expand it, yeah, we got the screenshot here. Yes, so these are screenshot. If you see here, our checkbox is checked. Okay, So this is how you take the screenshots in Selenium, and then it is how you can write a dynamic export. Okay. Now let us look into the third scenario. Here, our third scenario is to check whether the table is sorted or not. The table is sorted or not. And here I'm gonna check for the first column, and then I'm on let us check for the some other column as well. But for time being, let me check for the first column whether the sorting is working fine or not. So let me create a new test here. So let me name it table test 3. So first and foremost step is to go to the URL respective page, and then here we have to first we have to get all the items under this header, all the items under desert header. Okay, I'm gonna store all these items in a list. I'm gonna take all the items in a list and I'm gonna sort it. And I'm gonna sort it using collections.sort. And then I'm gonna click on this header. And then again, I'm gonna grab all these values. Okay. Now I should check these order with the sorted order, which with the list which I sorted. Now the both the list should match. Both the list should be as expected. Then we can confirm that both sorting is working. Okay. Okay. Now my first and foremost step is to get all these elements that are present under desert header, right? Now how to find all these elements? So first here I have to inspect. So here it's not just a desert. If you want to check the sorting of tomorrow, if you want to check for carbs, or tomorrow if you want to check for cholesterol, so we should be able to check. We cannot write Xpath for all these things, so we should find only one Xpath that could suffice our need. Now this is my header. This is my header for the desert. Okay, and okay, so here what should I do? Here first I have to grab all the headers and I should put it in a list, because here I should grab the all these values, right? Here I should grab all the values that are present under desert. To grab the all the values that are present under desert, uh, let us first identify one value, which is nothing but frozen yogurt. Here if you see, it is a TR. All these things are TR. Okay? All these things are present under a table. Okay. So TH, okay, let me T head. Okay, this is the table. Under the table we have T head, and then we have TRs. Okay, now I should know which column is a desert column. Now today desert is the first column. It can be fourth column or fifth column or sixth column. We don't know, right? Now I cannot directly say under TR go to TD1 for to grab the deserts. I cannot say, because today it is TD1. Tomorrow desert can be at fifth position or sixth position in the column, sixth or else the second or third position. Then my TD1 is not gonna work, right? So first I have to grab all the headers and I have to check for the index of this desert. Now how to grab all the headers? Under this T head, all the headers are present under TH. Okay, under this TH, the values are present under div. Yeah, under div. Okay. Now how to get all these divs? These are present under table. Under table T head, under T head, under this div. How to get this value? First, let us find the table uniquely. Uh, Here there is no ID. There is no ID for this table. But if you observe, there is a attribute called mat sort. So I think we can uniquely identify this. So table. So we have 7 tables here, but here we have to find the third table uniquely. Now let us say at the rate mat sort. Now it is gonna find that table uniquely. Now under this table, under th, go to a div. There are 48 divs, but we have to go to a specific div, which is having class as mat sort. No, mat sort header content. Okay, which is having a class called mat sort header content. So copy this class, that class. So at the rate class. So I should say contains, because there are two class values, but we are depending only on the one class value here. So let me paste it here. So let me remove this thing. Yes, mat sort header content. Now I can uniquely find all the headers, right? I can uniquely find all the headers. Now let me copy the Xpath. Let us get back to our code, and I can ask the driver dot find elements. You have to pass the find elements, right? Y dot Xpath. Here pass the Xpath. Now this is gonna give me all the elements. So either I can write a for loop and I can extract the text, or I can use Java 8 functionality, which is nothing but streams. So I'm gonna convert this list into a stream, and on this stream I can use a method called map, where inside this map it's gonna take an element. So each time, we have a list of elements, right? We have a list of elements. When I convert it into a stream, it's gonna give me element one by one into this map. So let me name first element as ELE. Now give the arrow mark and perform what action you want to perform on this element. I want to get text, right? Get the text, and let us trim it as well. Okay. So and finally, let us collect into a list. So let me place these things into a list of strings. It should be string. These are one of the headers. So finally, I can get all the headers as a list. Okay. Now from this list, I have to get the index of desert. So how to get the index of desert? Now headers dot get or else index. I should say index of, yeah, index of the object. I have to specify the object. I mean, like the object what we want. But here I want to find the index of desert. It's not just a desert here. If you observe, it is going to store the whole text desert and then the grams and then the quantity as well. So now I can just store the desert value. So I can just store the desert value. I may not have to store the quantity. So I can, okay, or just for time being, let me find the index of this desert, which is going to be, copy this. Let me paste it here. Now it is going to give me the index of this element. Let me name it as index. I'm going to get the index of these particular text inside my list. But by default, it's going to start with 0, right? Unfortunately, here the table, it should start with 1. So index, the whatever index it is going to give us, let us say plus 1. Okay, now I have index of my desert column. Now after getting the index, what should I do? Now I can find all these elements that are present under desert. Now all these elements are present under, they are not present under th, they are present under TRs. Under this table, they are present under TRs. So till here it is the table. I would say tr, there are 5 trs. Under each tr they are present under td, first td. So slash td of, I would say, 1. What is this one? It is nothing but the index. Okay, here we should pass the index. So for time being I am passing 1, but here in our program we should pass this index variable. So let me copy this Xpath, and again I can driver dot find elements by dot Xpath, and this is my Xpath. So here instead of 1 I should pass the index. Okay, here I should instead of 1 I should pass the index. Now it's gonna give me all the results. Of course, it's gonna give me the list of web elements. Let me name it items. Item elements. It's item elements. So here I'm gonna use the normal for loop just for here in here in the headers we used strings, but here for demonstration purpose let me use normal for each loop. So before that we have to create a list. We have to create an empty list to store all these items. So list of strings, and let me name it deserts. Deserts. Let me name it deserts, and let us create a new array list. So here I have to write a enhanced. I'm going to write a for enhanced for loop. Inside this enhanced for loop, we're going to iterate over item elements. So when I iterate over these item elements, each time I'm going to get a web element. Let us name it element. Now from this element, I have to extract the text. I have to, and let us trim it. And let us trim it. And then I have to store all these values. I have to add these values into deserts. Deserts dot add. Okay. This is how I'm gonna get. This is how I'm gonna get all the right. So this is how I'm gonna get all the values that are present under a desert. Now here I'm gonna get the all the values. Now first we have to sort them. Now we have to sort the list. So let me sort it to item elements dot. There is a method called sort. By default, it's gonna sort in a ascending order. Okay. So where's my item elements? Okay, here item elements are web elements, but we have to sort the deserts, not item elements. We have to sort the deserts. Deserts dot, when I sort them, it's gonna sort all these items. Here, or directly I could say dot sort. Here inside is expecting a comparator. So let us pass the comparator dot uh, comparing, or you could say natural order. You could say natural order, or directly you can use sort on the list, or you can say collections dot sort, and you can pass the list as well here. Our list is deserts. Okay, by default, this collections dot sort is gonna sort this list in an ascending order. Okay, in an ascending order. Now after sorting these things, after sorting, now I should click on these deserts header. Should click on the deserts header. So let us identify this thing, header of that thing. So here, if we see here, it is having this th is having calories, and if you find here, this desert is having mat sort header name as it is having a variable called name. Okay, now I can uniquely find using match sort header, Control C, and here let us paste it here. It's gonna be name, and here it should be th. Okay, so we have to set the rate, right? So this is my XPath for desert. Now I have to click on it. So you can ask, or else let's say, let us find the web element first. Driver dot find element, or let us write a bilocator for this header by desert header is equal to by dot xpath. So this is my header locator. I should ask driver dot find element of this desert header, and then I have to click on it. When I click on it, it's gonna sort them in an ascending order. Now here is my sorted list. Now I should get the list from the page. I should get the list from the page. Here again, I should use the same XPath that is present here. Okay, the same XPath that is present here. Now, since we are using the same code again and again, what I'm gonna say is uh, get the items from the table. From the table, I would say get the table, get the items from the table. It should expect an index. So I'm writing a generic method which is gonna give me all the items. Okay, so of course it should be, or we can pass it public or anything. It should return me this list of strings. It should return me the list of strings. Here I can copy this whole code. Here I can copy this whole code and let it paste it here. Okay, and here I'm just creating a. Have to let me copy this as well and let me paste it here. Right, and finally we have to return deserts. Right, finally we have to return deserts index. The index what we're gonna pass here, it is gonna fetch the elements that are present under that header, and it's gonna return all the elements. So before sorting, we should get all the elements right. So here desert. So directly I can say here directly, instead of initializing this array list, directly I can call this method get the list of items in table. I can pass the index. Okay, now it's gonna give me all the items, and then I'm sorting it, and then I'm clicking on the header, and then again I should get all the items. So again let us call the same method. Then again pass the same index, but now I'm gonna get a list of strings, but now I'm gonna get as a sorted. I'm gonna get sorted deserts. Okay, I'm gonna get the sorted deserts. Now, if these deserts and these deserts are matching, then it means they are sorted. But to say that assert dot asset equals, first one should be actual. Actual is nothing but sorted deserts, and then the deserts. Okay, and then the deserts. So this is how I can sort. Now, yeah, let us run this code and let us check whether the code is working fine or not. Okay, it failed. Let's check what is the reason. Element click intercepted. Okay, so here it is trying to click the header, but unfortunately it could not click on this header. What's the reason? If we get back to the code, okay, so this is our page, right? So this is our page. So there is a, if you remember that there is a ad here that is displaying, and it is not allowing us to click on this header. So we have to first scroll it, have to scroll the page a little bit, and then we have to apply click on it. So how to scroll this? Let me go down to the inspect. Let me get to the console. Here I could say window dot scroll. There's something like scroll by. So inside this scroll by, X is gonna be 0, but Y I'm gonna scroll it some 500 pixels. So when I scroll now here, when I apply this, it's gonna scroll it a little bit, right? Now again scroll it a little bit. Now let us pass 1000 here. Okay, now it took me to, yeah, 1000 is also fine. So I'm getting deserts here. So we can use that scroll by 1000 pixels. So console. So yeah, so this is the code that I'm gonna pass. But if you observe, this is the JavaScript code. But how to use JavaScript code in Selenium? Let us check that. Now, so before clicking, I have to scroll it. Or else at the starting, it's after navigating the page, we can scroll. Here itself, we can scroll. But how to pass the JavaScript code? To pass the JavaScript code, okay, let me create a new method here. Public void scroll the page by, let me say by, scroll the page by 100 pixels or 1000 pixels. So this is my method name. So we have the driver object. Directly on the driver object, I cannot pass the JavaScript. There is no any method, but first uh, I have to downcast it to JavaScript executor. And in downcast it to JavaScript executor, then it's gonna be as a JavaScript object. Now on this object, there is a method called execute script. So to this execute script, I can pass the script, which is scroll by 1000. Okay. Now when I call this method, it's gonna execute this script and it's gonna scroll the page by 1000 pixels. Now let us call this method here. Scroll the page by 100 pixels, 1000 pixels. Okay. Now if I run, I should not get the same exception called element click intercepted. Okay. Now let us run the code again. Okay, okay, so 1000 is very, you see 1000. Okay, so 1000, if you give 1000, our header is almost, we cannot see the header at all. So 1000 is not working for us. So let's stop 1000, let us give 700. Let's run the code again. It should now, I think, hopefully it should work now. Yes. So yeah, so finally my test is passed. So this is how I can check the sorting. I can check the sorting, but right now I did click only once. So it means we did check only the ascending order. But if I click on it again, now here, when I click on it, here I'm checking ascending, ascending logic. But now I have to check whether descending is for, was descending sorting is working fine or not. And when I click on the sort again, I should sort as per descending order. Descending. So here the designing again, we have to click on header, right? So let us click on header again. Now when I click on the header again, let me get the sorted list again. Okay, so yeah, again I need not have to declare it. Right. So now I'm gonna get the sorted again, but now things should be descending order. So before checking, I have to sort my list as well, right? So now collections dot sort. Okay, so collections dot sort. I'm gonna sort deserts. There is something called as comparator here. Now comparator dot reverse order. Okay, here collections dot sort. I'm going to sort my deserts in a reverse order. Okay, now again, yeah, now if I pass this assert statement here, now it should pass. So these are this ascending logic. And here, this is the descending logic. It should work now. It's only code. Worked. It worked for both ascending and descending. So today we did check for uh, desert column, right? Today we did check for desert column, and here also we are clicking on the desert Xpath. Now just you can change it to different headers. So if you want to check the sorting on carbs, fat, or calories, now we can get the index of these calories, and then you can click on the calories. Now we can now you can try with different headers and different with different columns. So we saw we sort we saw we test the sorting and then adding XPath and then writing an XPath that can grab multiple values. Yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Let us get back to some other concept in another video. Thank you.